Good morning, and thanks for joining us. We are meeting with Joe Lanahan. I'll let Joe introduce himself.
So my name is Joe Lanahan. I'm the city administrator here in Inman, coming up on 3 years. Been in public service about 23 and a half, something like that. So was very fortunate to join on to Team Inman in November of 2020, and a lot has been happening over that time, but
Yes.
Very excited about everything that we're going to be able to talk about today. So thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. No, thank you for taking the time
Sure.
to talk with us. So here at Easy Sells It, we're really big on talking about community building. And one of the things that we've been discussing a lot is the concept or idea of living local. And what we mean by that is, shopping local, eating local, supporting your local stores, clothing stores, architects, vendors, whoever it is that's in your community. So we just wanted to get your thoughts on how does, when people follow the concept of living local, shopping local, supporting local, help the local economy and community?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we are really coming into kind of a new age for our downtown. Through the probably early 90s, the downtown of Inman was very vibrant. We had an occupancy rate that was probably in the 75 to 80%. And then, like a lot of small towns, what they call the corridors, the large 4-lane highways, the Highway 9s and National Highways of the world began to grow up, not only in Spartanburg, but throughout the country. And so a lot of downtowns were lost. And through a number of things over the last, say, 4 to 5 years, Inman has slowly started to come back. And some property owners that had been holding on to some buildings in our downtown for many, many years decided to let them go and move on to some other opportunities. And so we were fortunate to have folks kind of on the ready, willing to jump into a small town environment. And so what we have tried to do as a city is foster that as much as possible. And we can get into some of those details as we talk. But we are very fortunate to have a council of 5. 2 of those folks are native, or 3 are native born Inman, lived here most of their whole life. And they remember when you could ride your bike into downtown and go have lunch. You could, walk downtown at night and enjoy that experience. And so we're using that as kind of our model to make downtown more livable and more attractive, and bring more amenities downtown. We have 3 downtown restaurants right now. We hope that number will be somewhere between 5 or 6 in the next 18 months. Awesome. We have a major project opening up in the next 30 days with Holiday Brewing. And so we anticipate every 6 months or so something opening, awesome. Be it private or public, over the next 3 or 4 years.
Okay,
so,
that's exciting. Yeah. We're always supportive of every business, but especially food is one of
absolutely absolutely food is the engine that drives everything in most communities. If you look at Greenville, for example, Carl Sobocinski and the infrastructure that he invested in. I think at one time Carl had 6 restaurants in downtown Greenville. Now that number dropped a little bit when he realized one concept worked and one some did. But with the investment in food that got folks down there, and folks like Rick Irwin in the Greenville community. In Spartanburg, we have folks like that. The Cribb brothers and other folks have shown that food gets folks down there. Denise Mahel with the Crepe Factory, who is a tradition in Spartanburg. We were so fortunate for her to use COVID as an opportunity to reset her business model. Yeah. She wanted to own where she worked, and so she was able to buy a building here in town, completely renovated, and now where she lives and works is hers. And that is just so exciting for us. And that has been a model for all of our downtown businesses. We are all locally owned. We love our corporate friends, but in our downtown right now, currently, we are all organic, homegrown Greenville folks and Spartanburg folks. So it's very exciting.
That is very exciting. So how does, when people go to the downtown restaurant or shops, how does that support not just that one business, but other businesses?
Right. So we were fortunate about 6 weeks ago, 4 to 6 weeks ago, we were on WSPA. We were the zip trip of the week, and we had folks in town from 5 to 10 a.m. doing local TV spots. And during that experience, I was on Main Street from 4 a.m. until whenever we finished. And I stood and I watched. And I'll give you an example. If you go out in the evening time and enjoy some karaoke or trivia at the Inman Beer Vault, and you have a reservation at the Great Escape, which is the Inman Great Escape Room, which is our escape room in town, run by the Blackwell family, great experience. And your reservation is there at 8, and you go to the Beer Vault at, say, 6, and you have a couple of you enjoy yourself there. To walk from the Inman Beer Vault to the Great Escape, you walk past 11 storefronts. And our opportunity and our hope is that when you finish, meeting your friends and having a couple of, drinks there, you walk down a half hour or so before your Great Escape, and you walk past 11 opportunities to return more investment to the city. And you walk past, literally right now, you walk past a children's boutique. Honey Child is my daughter's 19 years old. I have smocks from the Honey Child. Yeah. She's been around a long time. You walk past an antique shop. You walk past 2 fantastic boutiques. So there's an opportunity for that meal or that drink that brought you into town to lead you to something else. And so that's what we hope the food will do, will anchor. And the Pardo Cafe is another example of that, and Denise, of course. So we're hoping that food will bring them, and when they walk around back to their car or to wherever, they'll walk past some other opportunities.
Right. And we oftentimes talk about when people choose to go with a local builder. Of course, we as a broker, I sell all homes to all people.
Right.
But we really have a special place in our heart for our local builders.
Sure.
Because they also use local architects and local civil engineers. So it just helps to grow the wealth of the community, and it's really more community building, not just home building.
Right. Absolutely. We are fortunate to have one of the architects for we have 2 local architects who live in town who really were fantastic, that they're so busy that they're now recruiting some of their friends from Spartanburg, other agencies within Spartanburg, to help them with the work. When our downtown took a little bit of a slowdown, some of the architectural footings and structurally and things like that needed to be redone, and so the city offers a facade grant to help with that. But we know that we want our buildings to be safe and up to current code, and so you need, as you said, architects, structural engineers, painters, plumbers, electricians, and all of that sort of thing. So there's a lot of work. We are always looking for good vendors. Local is our priority to help fill those needs around the city.
Right. So another big thing that has been all over the news and that everyone is super excited about is, of course, the Saluda Gray Rail Trail.
Right.
So do you mind sharing
Sure.
a little bit about how the development of the rail trail is going to benefit not just Inman, but also Campobello, Landrum, and all of the communities that it touches?
Right. So from a helicopter point of view, the line, it's called the R line, owned by Norfolk Southern currently. It currently runs from into the city of Spartanburg all the way up to Zirconia, North Carolina, which is Lake Summit, is what most folks know that area as. So what is being purchased by the Saluda Gray Trail Conservancy, it's an 8-person board, 4 members from South Carolina and 4 members from North Carolina. They have a contract in place with Norfolk Southern to purchase 31 miles of that rail. It starts at Asheville Highway, which commonly is called High Bridge, and goes 31 miles north all the way to Zirconia. It's almost a dead split. I think it's 16 miles in South Carolina, 15 miles in North Carolina. It's about equal. Along that line, you've got Inman, Campobello, Landrum, Tryon, Flat Rock, and Zirconia. And so all those cities will benefit from it. I think that there are 2 examples that we've used to tell people what the trail is going to look like or what we hope it will entail. And 2 of them are our neighbor next door, the Prisma Health Swamp Rabbit Trail. Obviously what that has done to the northern end of Greenville County and now into southern Greenville County as they figure out a way to get over 385 and connect Simpsonville and Fountain Inn into that trail system has been generational. And that's a word I've used. The best example of that is Mayor McCall, well at the time, Mayor McCall of Travelers Rest, ran on a platform against the Swamp Rabbit Trail about 16 years ago. He did not want it. He thought it was going to erode the integrity of his small town and things like that. 6 years later, he was the keynote speaker at a national conference praising the Swamp Rabbit Trail, and he is now on council again as a councilman and will publicly admit that he took the wrong turn and now sees the good of it. The other trail that we want to let people know about or kind of look at as an example is the Virginia Creeper Trail in Abington, Virginia. It is what is called a one-way trail mostly. You shuttle up to the top of White Top Station and you basically roll downtown, roll down on a packed gravel trail all the way into Abington. So we feel that the Saluda Grade is going to be kind of the mix of those 2. Unlike Virginia Creeper, where you have a dead end to a town with nothing really along the way except absolutely beautiful scenery. our trail will take you through 6 towns on a downslope if you choose to start with our friends in Saluda and come down to Inman, or it will be very bikeable the other way. We have already heard about folks that are excited to try to bike up the Saluda Grade Trail. Our friends in North Carolina are going to have some engineering challenges with a grade that is the steepest railroad grade on the East Coast. We don't want to be launching 7-year-olds off the side of the trail, so they will have to figure out a way to come down. They've already begun to look at that process. So in South Carolina, we're very fortunate. We have very buildable, very flat, beautiful scenery from our start here in Inman all the way up to our friends in Landrum. Some amazing trestles and some views that are just really going to be not spectacular.
Well, you and I both have a past in Parks and Recreation.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
When I heard about this, I was super excited because of not only just the opportunity to build the local community and economy and support local businesses, but also from the health and wellness aspect to it's not only connecting physically, but it helps to connect people to other communities and other people, as well as having another opportunity to get outside and exercise and spend time with your family, friends, and loved ones doing something that's good for your health and your community.
Absolutely. Quality of life, I think, it has to be said in tandem with economic development. I think because if economic development is the only thing leading the charge, then I totally understand and want to work with folks in our rural sections of the trail to help them to understand how Inman grows doesn't mean that there will be challenges for you on private land. From a quality of life standpoint, the example that I give is having worked in Greenville County on the Swamp Rabbit Trail for about 10 years. Before the trail opened in Travelers Rest, the Walmart in Travelers Rest employed one high school student about 15 hours a week to put together bikes. Within 3 years of the Swamp Rabbit Trail, that Walmart had 1.5 employees, an entire full-time employee, and all they did was put together bikes to be sold, and they were all being used on the trail. And they weren't all children's bikes. The largest growth market in bicycles was what's called the cruiser class, which was for folks who are the beach cruiser style, an upright bike with a nice big padded seat, a simple gear bike that you can just get out on the trail and ride very easily. And so, yes, little children were learning how to ride their bike in a safe environment, which is always great, but also mom and dad and grandma and grandpa were buying bikes to go along. And so I definitely anticipate that, here in Inman. And we would love to be the southern end if you want to take a bike trip, and we run a shuttle for you from Inman up to Tryon and ride your bike down and finish your day and have lunch or dinner here and shop along the way and enjoy the views. But the quality of life will definitely improve for folks who take advantage of the trail.
Most definitely. Yeah. Well, we're super excited about that. Are there any other developments or things that you would like to share and would like people to know about that's happening in
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple of things. Number one is Holiday Brewing. They will be opening in the next 2 weeks or so here in the middle of October. Jim and John Holiday have made, and their family have made the single largest private investment in downtown Inman in the past decade. And we are excited about that. We appreciate their effort to take a chance. I know as a realtor and a builder yourself, there's that, okay, here we go. And I know Jim and John have leaned on a lot of their family to be a part of this journey, and we appreciate that. Their current location in Drayton Mill, which is about twice the size of this room, they have outgrown so thoroughly, and we are excited for them to be a new member of our downtown. It will change offerings for us, not only from a brewery standpoint, but they have a restaurant component as well. Our friends at Burgers and Bakery will be having a restaurant in there called Burgers Inc. So that will be one. The other big one for downtown is there is a building on Main Street that everyone knows as Franz for Less. It is one of our largest indoor spaces in downtown. It had been dormant for about 10 years, plus or minus. It locally sold. It recently sold to a local developer and real estate agent who are developing it into possibly 2 retail spaces and some other possible space upstairs for some residential opportunities. So they have started that process. They're moving along as quickly as they can, but knowing that it takes time to find folks to do things. But that has been a big one. Franz is on Main Street for a long, long time. It was owned by a gentleman named Jewel Gwynn for upwards of 35 or 40 years and sat empty after the last tenant left. So to get a tenant on Main Street in Franz we're very excited for that investment group to be moving along. They haven't publicly released all of the plans yet, so that's kind of a shell of what they're going to do. I know they have some tenants that they've been talking to or some possibilities, so that's another big one. And we've got a couple others that we hope by the end of the year they'll be able to work out some arrangements either as purchasing a piece or as a renter or a leasee here in town. So.
Well, we're excited and definitely are going to stay tuned. One thing that I feel like Inman has done extremely well is you guys really do a lot of festivals and community events. Do you mind just touching briefly on a few opportunities for if people are watching that haven't been to one of the festivals and some things that are happening to put on their radar? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, 3 days from now, of course, the last Saturday in September for 46 years is Harvest Day. Harkens back to the peach history here in Inman in Spartanburg County. The Chamber of Commerce is the host for that event, and the city acts as a logistical support. So we help with police and fire and close the roads and so forth and that. And the Chamber really drives that. It is on paper should be the largest Harvest Day that they've had, and the more vendors than they've ever had this Saturday. And then going into the fall, there's a couple of other opportunities. Next Saturday, the 7th of October, we have Cartoberfest, which is a car show and German beer festival kind of rolled together. We will highlight and invite about 300 cars in downtown Inman, all sorts of cars, everything from folks fixing them up in their own garage to last year we ended up having Lamborghini Row. We had 5 different Lamborghinis that were here. We had a Ferrari. We have all sorts of cars, and it's just an opportunity for folks to show off their cars. We have some music and great food and things like that. Buon Mill is October 29th, the Saturday before Halloween. That's a free event for kids to come to and parents and families. We invite vendors to come, and we don't charge them anything. All that we ask is that they have some sort of prize for the child. Doesn't have to be a piece of candy. It could be something else. But we will probably have close to 200 tables. Chief Tucker, our police chief, started that event a number of years ago. And leads the charge with that. Keith does a wonderful job, and we have music, and we show a cartoon movie, we do a costume contest, and then an event that has come back really, really strong after our COVID delay was Light Up Inman. First Saturday in December 2nd this year, we have a parade from about 5:30 to 6:30, 6:45. We'll have 100 floats or 100 entries between bands and communities and things. And then we close the street and we do a tree lighting ceremony for our 45-foot tree here on Main Street. We have horse-drawn carriage rides, we have rides for kids, food, local children perform and things like that. And it really has become a really, really nice and fun evening. For Light Up Inman last year, we were probably a little over 4,000 folks. And so we're a city of 3,500. So anytime we can recruit more folks into our event than live here, I think we're doing something pretty well. So.
Definitely. Well, you guys are doing a lot of things very well, and there's no shortage of things for people to come and participate in and practice the Live Local concept. So we definitely thank you for your time and sharing all of these wonderful things, and we look forward to the future events and announcements, and we're happy to continue sharing those and helping build community.
Lots coming.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you guys. We look forward to telling you more in the future.